Toot, toot, baby. It's time to ride the proverbial funk train. And I've got my best buddy here, Silverback, and we're doing something a little different tonight. We're doing a review and a comparison because I feel like a simple, stupid, moronic piece of crap review would not do this justice because this game is interesting and it's got some interesting facets to it. So what we're looking at tonight is the Pac Man 40th anniversary collection, which you own. Let's see what that you have. It's right behind you.
Right behind. Yep.
You got like a little row of Pac Man and stuff. That's cute.
You like that?
I do. I got the same thing. So like when you play old games, everybody buys you gifts like that when they go into Spencer's and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I like it, so I'm glad I have it. So hold it up again. I didn't get a good look at it. Look at that damn thing.
Yeah.
So that's a really good looking box art there. So that just came out 2022 at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo and released just a few months ago at Atari Age, and they surprised the retro gaming world when Atari Age pulled everything with any sort of license to other game companies out of the store. So you only had a small window to buy that game. Now, they also pulled this game, which was Bob Decresenzo's first Pac Man collection. I don't have the shiny box because I'm not a rich person like Silverback is. But that came out, and we just found out because we were like, when did this come out? This came out in 2007. And the other game was released 2022. So it was a 15-year. I did go to public high school, but I think, check my math, Silverback, I think it was 15 years.
Yep. 15, yep.
In between. Now, this game here got the my website back in the day. We work on Atari 7800forever.com. But before that, it was called something else. But this got the first perfect rating. So, that being said, this got a 5.0 perfect rating on my old review site for the Atari 7800. So now we're going to dive into this new one. So if you're unaware, and hold it back up again for me, buddy. I want to see it again. There you go. You keep putting it out. I want you to stretch your delts and your track.
I guess so, yeah.
But if that's a beautiful thing there. So if you're sitting there and you're trying to decide, should I spend my money, which is too late now, so you lost, but should I horse around with this Pac Man collection? What's the big deal? Is it really better than this? Because this, at one time, was the number one selling Atari 7800 game on Atari Age. And it also, this is surprising because the 7800 is not nearly as popular as other systems. It was the number one homebrew on Atari Age.com out of every system. So it was more popular than 5200, Lynx, Jaguars, and the King, the original VCS, the 2600. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty amazing. And Bob Decresenzo, we always talk highly of that guy, and his games are normally perfect, with a few caveats here and there. So without further ado, we're going to talk about this, but I also want to bring this up too. And I don't know how much you know, this game had a tumultuous history because it was supposed to be made exclusively really for the XM module. It was supposed to be an XM module game. So talk about that for a second.
Well, yeah, I missed a lot of that XM module stuff. I guess I got into the scene right at the tail end of it. But that was a peripheral, I believe, that was going to add Yamaha sound, I believe, to the console. And Pokey, yeah. Yeah. Was it going to tweak anything graphic-wise? Or
yeah, it was going to have additional RAM for larger games, so you didn't have to have more chips. So you could make bigger games. It was going to have a high score cart capability.
Okay.
And it sat right on top of the Atari 7800, and it was just a storm of unfortunate events why this thing never saw the air. There's prototypes out there. It's awesome, and it actually probably had some other features that I can't remember right now, but Kurt Vendel, who was associated with Atari for years, he passed away, and that sucks for a number of reasons, but he really was a nice link to the past with this Atari stuff. And then a guy called Mark Ball, who Groovy Bee, who is now he was supposed to be working on this, and it came to and I don't know what happened with this guy, but he ended up stealing a lot of money from investors who were wanting him to make television homebrews, and he just kind of got outed and disappeared. I guess he hit money troubles and just took off. So
he apparently, just so people know, he refunded some of the people, so he's not all the way horrible. But yeah, I don't know
who
what
you
happened.
ask.
Right?
Yeah, he's out of the scene. And what's weird is he was a promising programmer. He had Worm and Wasp were terrible. He made those two games for the 7800, but he was working on others called Apple Snaffle for one. And one called Monster, I think, or something like that. And those were actually pretty good. But he was supposed to be working on this XM module. He disappeared, and everybody was waiting on this guy for coding or whatever. So he's gone.
Yeah.
So he's out. So this left this Pac Man collection. Hold it up again there, Silverback. Let's see. There you go. That game was ousted. And Donkey Kong XM was another game, and that was an excellent game too. And that one was kind of kicked in the junk. So I'm surprised, and I wonder how tough it was for Bob Decresenzo to reverse the programming. And we probably should have him on and talk about this. How and maybe he can comment on this one day if he ever sees this review. But how difficult was it to program it for a new peripheral, which was tough, and then backtrack and then make it compatible with a regular Atari 7800?
Well, and I was reading the manual earlier to this game, and I don't know if he's still thinking that the XM will come out or if he's just prepared for it if it does. If you have an XM Yamaha sound module, when you plug it in, if it's active, it'll come up on the screen and say Yamaha Enhanced. Now, I don't know how you would do that without the XM. I don't think you can really, but it's still in there apparently. So,
well, a couple of the multi-carts coming out have Yamaha, maybe the 7800 GD.
Yeah.
Maybe that is the only one. I don't know about Concerto or Harmony, but
yeah, Concerto doesn't.
I know the Cuddle Cart doesn't either. Okay, so we're going to talk about the old Pac Man Collection, the one from 2007. Got a perfect score in comparison while we review the brand new one, because this is to be honest, I was like, do I really need the new one? Is that one of my? They came out with 9 games. That's like almost $500 with shipping and tax. It was that one of the ones I needed to get right away. So, yeah. So let's just go down. So Pac Man Collection 40th. What do you think? The dog loves it.
The dog loves it. Yeah, he's really into Pac Man. Well, I was just like you. I didn't know if I needed this cartridge, and it was honestly, I hate to say it, probably the last one I put in my cart when I bought these games. But I just took the time a little bit ago. I sat down, I played the original for I don't know about 20 minutes, and then I popped in the 40th afterwards. And if you play them back to back like that, it becomes apparent just how much better, how much improvement Bob did in the new 40th anniversary collection. So I don't know if you want to just get into it and start with like we do on the website, maybe with the graphics, or
yeah. Well, I guess we've overviewed it enough. It's a collection of different modes and different really Pac-Man games in a cart. That's what this one was. This kind of had Miss Pac-Man and Pac Man Plus, and it had Pac Man or Hagley Man and maybe Puck Man and stuff like that. And so I can't really remember.
The original had Miss Pac Man, Miss Pac Attack, random mazes for Miss Pac Man, Hangly Man, Puck Man, Pac Man, Ultra Pac Man, random mazes for Pac Man, and then each one had the ability to play in plus mode. So what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4,
Yeah, so you double it.
8, 8,
Yeah.
16
Yeah.
altogether.
And random mazes, I think, had 21. There was 21 random mazes, which was pretty awesome. And so, yeah, I mean, this thing back in 2007, this is what started the homebrew rush, because he was putting a couple of these out, and he said, I think I could put all these on one cart, and he was right. And along with like the Cubert and Burger Time, this kind of kicked in the doors and made everybody go, okay, now the 7800, here we go. The 7800 homebrew scene's taken off, and this game is really credited with that. So now here we are, a game that was really the genesis of the XM games. You played them both, so what do you think?
Well, like I said, the improvements become pretty apparent when you play them back to back. Not necessarily if you've already played the original and then maybe a week later you play the 40th, you're not really going to notice too much. But if you play them back to back, you can really see the improvements that he made, especially graphics wise. I mean,
well, let's start with graphics. Since we don't have the capability to do awesome on-screen graphics, we have the old school sandwich board sign graphics with an X. So out of 5, what would you give it?
Well, previously on the original collection, you gave the original a 4.5. Now, this one is definitely a step up from the original. So, I mean, if we're going up, I have to give it a 5.
Whoa.
I mean, as far as this goes, again, if you're watching the original and you jump to the Pac Man 40th, it's definitely a big jump up.
So what is it? I know the mazes are bigger, right?
The mazes are bigger. The screen, I believe the mazes are technically truer to the arcade version, but in order to accommodate it, he had to scroll the screen. So,
which is pretty impressive, right? I mean, that's pretty impressive.
It scrolls smoothly. It's not really it's not choppy at all. It's pretty natural looking when you do it. But also, I mean, everything, I think he's using a different graphics mode. Again, I don't know everything about this stuff, but I parrot back what I hear. I think he's using the 320, what was it? 320 graphics mode, where the original was apparently the 160, I believe, because it appears to be twice the size of the original game.
Cool. So, can you tell, are the colors brighter? Are the sprites sharper? That kind of thing too?
Yep. The especially when you look at the ghosts look much better. I tend to lean towards Miss Pac-Man for the variety, but even in playing Miss Pac-Man on the original and then on this, you can tell that with the original version, he was still using the original Miss Pac-Man as somewhat of a base for it. So it looked like the GCC Miss Pac-Man game to an extent, where this is definitely, again, larger, much sharper, brighter. The colors are better. I think the ghosts are more accurate to their arcade colors.
All right, that sounds like a glowing review. So, what about sound?
So for sound, and again, I have to go off what the cart has. As technically, it is Yamaha capable, but I don't know that we'll ever get to use that.
Right.
Previously, you gave the sound on the original a 4.5. Now, do you recall there's 2 versions on the original? There's the pokey and the just plain, what they call it, value version.
Was it? I didn't know that.
Yeah, because originally I bought the value version, and then with the last chance sale, I upgraded to the pokey.
Oh.
Ooh.
Could you tell a big difference?
I haven't gotten it yet.
Oh, jerk.
Right.
Well,
but
okay, so big differences in sound, maybe, or is it about the same, or what do you think?
It's about the same as far as I can tell. Now, I was playing this the original off my concerto, and unfortunately, for for whatever reason, it might have been the ROM I was using. The sound was kind of off a little bit on the original. But I'm pretty sure if it's not the same, it might be slightly tweaked. But it's definitely TIA sound on the 40th. I don't, yeah, I don't think it's pokey as far as I can tell.
Okay.
But it sounds like Pac Man. I mean, every tune, every song might be a bit clearer. The songs might come out a little nicer. But I'd keep it in line with what you gave the original, probably a 4.5.
I could smell what you were cooking there.
Yep.
Does it have like the little
Yep.
like the little? Okay, that's
Yep.
cool. So we're gonna give the sound 15 years later too. By the way, so I mean,
Yep.
I think a 4.5 now is stronger than a 4.5 in 2007.
Oh, yeah.
So because there's some amazing things out there. All right, so the big part on our website's gameplay. So what are the biggest differences? It's Pac Man. And it's a collection of them, just like the other ones. But what are the biggest differences that you noticed?
Well, originally I was going to say there was more game modes, but I believe they're pretty much the same when you count the plus mode. Now, the difference is in the original version, you could toggle plus mode off for any of the games. And this one, the plus mode is just an option. So you have Miss Pac-Man Plus, Miss Pac-Man Arcade, Miss Pac Attack, Miss Random Mazes Plus, etc. The only new ones I see that wasn't on the original is instead of Puck X, you get new Puck X, but that might still be the same thing. I don't know. I don't know of all the Pac-Man hacks, so I apologize. But
well, some of these are like not just hacks; they're like
yeah,
they were iterations and stuff. Does it have Crazy Auto?
It does not have Crazy Auto.
Okay. And of course, these don't have Super Pac-Man, which is ridiculous. Nope. And it also doesn't have Pac and Pal.
Nope.
And it doesn't have Baby Pac-Man, which is a pinball game. And it doesn't have Junior Pac-Man.
Right, correct.
Okay, all right.
Now, in the original, like I said, you had the plus mode. You still have it in this. It's just set up a little bit differently. You can choose your starting level just like you could in the old mode or in the older version. And then you can choose your speed, which I think this is the best thing he ever did with this game, was including the speed option. If you play this game with speed enabled, you'll get addicted to it. You'll be addicted to speed.
It happens to truck drivers all the time.
So I hear. That's how they make it across country in one sitting.
So you want to play the faster mode?
Once you play it that way, you can make it further. You feel like you're a little bit better at the game.
So then you can dial it back, play slow, and then kill a bunch of mazes. Then, right? It's a good trainer. In other words,
exactly. The one thing that's missing from the new one that the original had was button mode for speed. In the original, you had fast, slow, and then button. Where if you held the button down, your character would speed up, so you could kind of get out of a sticky situation.
I don't remember that.
That's don't remember
crazy.
that?
No, that's awesome.
Yeah, button mode was the best. I really liked button mode because again, you could kind of get out of a sticky situation, run past the ghost, whatever. That's missing in the new one, which I'm kind of sad to see it go. That was a bit of a loss. But I mean, overall, like I said, the mazes are bigger. The gameplay wise, the controls feel about the same. I would say they're just as responsive as they were, and before they're pretty spot on. So I don't think he could have improved. I would say this one's more difficult, the new one. I think,
and I know. Well, maybe we should say this for the next gimmick, but yeah, I won't interrupt you. I'm sorry. Keep going.
No, you're fine. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, the new one's harder, and I think it's truer to the arcade AI. What's interesting to me too is he has for Miss Pac-Man, you have the Miss Pac-Man Plus, and then you have Miss Pac-Man Arcade. So I don't know if that's an even harder version. I was giving it a try. It looks like the mazes are kind of switched up from arcade and Miss Pac-Man. So I assume Miss Pac-Man follows the 7800 mazes, and maybe Miss Pac-Man Arcade follows the arcade mazes, which it seems to be slightly altered.
Worth investigating, checking
and
it out, you know?
indeed.
Yeah.
But overall, it feels a little bit more difficult. And I think it's attributed to the Ghost AI. They seem to act differently. Normally, if you've played a lot of Miss Pac-Man and a lot of Robert's other stuff, you know that when the ghosts come out, they usually touch the corners before they really start coming after you. They don't seem to do that in this version, at least not that I noticed. Maybe I wasn't paying attention, but they seem to sort of go right after you. At least the red one does. So,
Well, we can talk about that if you want, but let's save that. So, what would you give gameplay for this guy?
so originally you gave the gameplay a 4.5, which is really good for Pac Man Collection or any game on the 7800. I would say this game, as I said, it's a bit more difficult. So it almost feels like some people would have a harder time with it. But if you turn on speed mode, I mean, there you go. You're untouchable in speed mode. So I think 4.5 sounds pretty good for this one. I think there's a little bit of give and take. The old one, you could see the entire maze. So while you were playing it, you always knew where the ghosts were. And this one,
Yeah.
you do have an occasion where you don't know what's going on one side of the screen, and you sort of pop up there, and all of a sudden, you're on top of a ghost. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen. So
Okay.
I
And
think
we
that
and we and we lost button mode
and
too.
lost button mode, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a give and take. So
Gotcha.
4.5.
So we're doing pretty good so far. A little bit,
Oh yeah,
little bit ahead of the old one.
a little
All
bit.
right. Now I put interpretation. You could also put originality because this is we would always on a website, like if it's a port, we go with an interpretation score. If it's a original idea, we go with originality. But this is I don't know. This is an original idea, but these are interpretations of other games. So we're going to go with interpretation. I think is that what I did on the old review?
Yep, that's what you
Okay.
did on the old one.
Okay, and I would say with this one, what I do know is that Bob on the old game, the Pac Man Collection from 2007, available formerly at AtariAge.com. It was a hack of Miss Pac Man. Now,
Okay.
the coding, hold the other one up there, hold the new one up there, big guy. There we go. On the new one, on the 40th anniversary, that is all handmade code. So this is a code.
Oh wow.
So he did all the code himself, and it mirrors exactly what he was trying to emulate, whether it's the arcade or if he was trying to do other types of games. So that's going to be probably a little closer to the vest and also a little closer to perfection, unless the graphics throw it off. So what do you think about the interpretation score on the new guy?
Well, yeah, I think you're right because, as I said, it's more difficult, but I think that's in line with the arcade difficulty because, as we know, arcade games were difficult back in the 80s and when this was made, so that they could get more of your money. And I think,
Exactly.
yep. So I think this is that difficulty. I think if you're used to arcade Pac-Man, you're gonna jump right into this, and it's gonna feel like home. In that sense, I mean, it's a fantastic interpretation of the games. Again, I'm not familiar with every one of these, but I know Miss Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man pretty well, and I know Pac-Man pretty well, and everything just seems, really good. Really,
like you're playing the arcade.
yeah, exactly. As
So
close as we could get.
what would you give this guy then?
Interpretation. Previously, you gave a 5.0 for interpretation, a perfect interpretation. And I would say, yeah, five for interpretation.
All right. So holding serve.
Mm-hmm.
Now, value, this is always something that always trips up people. They don't know if I mean commercial value but what I normally mean, because now you can not buy this game. And if you do, it's probably going to be astronomical prices.
Yeah.
Value to me always means you bought it or you're investing your time into it. How is the return on that investment of time and or money? And so what that basically means to me is when I score these, and I'm sure you do something similar, is how many times am I going to play this game? Is this going to be something I'm going to pick up a lot?
Yeah, absolutely. And with 16 different games on here, and they all do feel very different. And then even if you master, let's say you master Miss Pac-Man, you can turn on Plus mode and get more Miss Pac-Man. Again, on this version, it's a separate technically option. There isn't a Plus mode, but there's always more to do. I don't think anybody could truly finish this game in a lifetime. And when you put it like that, I mean, the value's through the roof. I think we'll be playing this for 15 more years until he does the 55th anniversary.
Aw, that's cute.
Yeah.
So, just curious, if you have this, do you need the new?
That's kind of the question, ain't it?
Yeah.
And that's sort of what I was thinking about as I was playing. And originally, my thought was no. I don't think you do have to upgrade. I think if you're happy with the original, and it's a question of, do I need this? I don't know that for the average person it's enough to warrant a purchase. But if you're a Pac-Man fanatic and if you have the 7800, chances are you might be one of those. Then yeah, it's worth the upgrade. If you enjoy Pac-Man, if you enjoy everything Pac-Man, you have all the other ones and you play them as often as anything, then yeah, it's worth the upgrade for the Pac-Man fans, I would say.
Well, the other thing too we haven't mentioned is the new game, the Pac Man 40th Anniversary Collection, can be beaten.
Yeah.
Which the first one could not. Now Bob is kind of an ass when it comes to Pac Man. I think he likes doing this to us. He took the Genesis ending, the Sega Genesis or the Mega Drive ending of Miss Pac-Man, I think it's Miss Pac-Man, which you could achieve after going 32 mazes. But instead of giving it to us at 32, you have to do the old school trip, which is 255 mazes.
Yep.
Even on the easiest difficulty setting. Is that possible by any percentage of human being on the planet?
Can you do it in speed mode?
Yeah, you can. If any mode, any mode you can beat.
I think there's people out there that could. There's obviously people out there that can roll Pac-Man. I mean, it's a known thing. It's something that you could go on YouTube and see. So I know there's somebody out there that can. It's an elite club of people. Let's put it like that. And I don't think it's me and you, but
no.
I
like Pac-Man, but it's not. I'm never going to get that good at it. I don't. No. It's like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube. I'd like to, but I'm not going to put the time or the mental acuity. So, on value, what would we rate that?
Value, it has to stay a 5. Again, the value is through the roof. If you don't have the original collection, you have the opportunity to get this at a good price, or if somehow you get the ROM online and you have enough room for one or the other, I'd go with the new one.
Okay, well there we go. We're moving right along. RT means reviewers tilt, and what I use this for is if my grades are too good or too poor, I always just throw a number up there to kind of, because this is a mathematical equation. I don't pull these out of my butt. So reviewers tilt. Do you want to leave that as a 5? I mean, it looks at this point it's going to score a perfect score. Do you think it needs to be a 4.5 or something, or do you think it's good as a 5.0?
1. No. Yeah, but I'd keep it at a 5, really. I mean, again, the original was so good. There was a reason why the original was one of the best-selling games at Atari Age, and had this.
It was number 1 for a while too.
Right, and had this had the time, I'm sure this would have been exactly the same. So,
well, there's not, a lot of suspense. It's going to be another perfect score on our website. Mm-hmm. And that's Atari7800forever.com. we review every game, and we wanted to compare these two. And still, I'm a little mad at you, Silverback.
Uh-oh.
I don't know if I should get it or not. I mean, it sounds like as a casual fan, I don't know if I'll. It's 45 or 50 bucks. I can't remember, but I did love this version. I am going to get it. I did order it. But if you are a schmuck out there, and we assume that these games that Atari Age took out of the store for licensing concerns, we assume that these things are going to go on eBay and stuff and skyrocket.
Mm-hmm.
So we have no idea how much Pac Man 40th Anniversary Collection is going to sell for.
Or the original, yeah.
Or this one. Exactly, yeah, that's gone too. Jesus. Better not drop that. I better quit waving it around. But because I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
What do you think? Just out of your butt. I mean, $100, $200. What is that thing worth, man?
I think it's a time. It's one of those time things where right now, if you list it on eBay, I think it's still recent enough to where you could get 80, 100, 120 bucks maybe. It depends too. If you get people bidding it up and stuff. I think in 5 years, 10 years, similar to what we've seen on other homebrews, we could see it go for. I think it'll definitely go for a lot. I'd hate to speculate, but
you never can tell. And things are going for outrageous amounts of money, and you never can. Cubivore for the GameCube is going for $3,000, and I've got one sitting in my living. I got one sitting in my living room. I'm like, why do I still have this? I don't even have a GameCube anymore. But yeah, investment opportunity. That's what we said to each other. But I just, God, I just spread myself so thin. I couldn't do it. The other thing too, I wanted to bring up one more point. And I can't remember what it was. What were you going to say? I cut you off and then I stammered. So what were you going to say?
Well, like I said, so many of these games that left the store, the future's kind of uncertain on them too, because I don't think anything has been officially stated yet either. So you really don't know what will happen, and if anybody bought a ton of copies of any of these games with the speculation that we'll never see them again, you might get burned. I don't know.
That's true. Well, and also this is what I was going to say. So if you're watching this and you're like, why are you guys reviewing this if we can't buy it? You can play it on emulator, and you can also play it with the multi-carts, which Concerto. I don't know. This one you may have to have a Dragonfly, or you may have to have the new 7800 GD.
This one works on Concerto.
Great. Good. So if you have any of those, you can go to AtariAge.com, and I think you go to Atari 7800 section, and there is a thread that Pac Man Plus started about his homebrews, and he basically dumps all his ROMs for free on the site, which is really cool of him to do. So this can be enjoyed legally for free on an emulator or your multi-cart.
Yeah, it's the thread called Most Recent Binaries for Games of Mine Being Pulled, all in one place, by Pac Man Plus. It's still on the front page as of today of the 7800 forum. So you click on that, and you can get everything that got pulled of his, and the full versions as well, not demo versions or anything like that. So
in retrospect, or the dogs are excited about this.
Dogs, they love a Pac-Man. Yep.
So this is going to score slightly better than the other game. And if you are a casual fan, this is what I'm reading, and this is what the synopsis will be. If you're a casual fan, you may not need the new one.
Right.
But if you are a Pac-Man enthusiast, you probably need to pull the trigger on Pac Man 40th Anniversary Collection. Hold it up one more time so the dummies in the back can see it.
I'd say casual fans, if you have the original, you should be fine. If you're a Pac Man fanatic, if you're a 7800 collector like me, you're going to have it. So you already have it probably.
Beautiful.
Yep.
All right, that's it. 36-minute review. That's way too long, but damn it, we're just adorable and we like looking at each other in the mirror.
You ain't kidding.
Anything else?
No, I don't think so. I just appreciate you having me on again. And
and check out Silverback's channel too. He's currently trying to defeat every 7800 game, and you just beat one of the toughest, Karateka.
Karateka.
Or Karateka, which is what I called it because I lived in Tennessee for so damn long. But you also reminded me that I didn't have my cheat guide up on the website, which was crazy. And I was like, so I had to spend some time last week porting the old code up.
You have no idea. I used the heck out of that guide too. I changed the way I played that whole game after I read it, and it was for the better.
Well,
that's your stuff.
That's the problem. Was every guide one line about how to beat Akuma and Karateka was for a computer version, and for the 7800, all the mechanics and all the physicality and the rules completely are thrown out the window, and they're really weird. It's a really weird game, but we'll talk about that. We may do a Digital Eclipse for some reason is resurrecting Karateka, and we may.
It's August 29th that's coming out.
So weird. I don't know. It's a step down from the Atari 50th, man. Have you bought that for anything yet?
No, I haven't. I need to. Yeah, I might buy a VCS, so I've been waiting.
I don't know if I can recommend it. I'll tell you this. I know the review is over. This is just me and Silverback talking. So I haven't had time because I've been trying to complete my movies, and I got done editing today, so I'm going to go out drinking. Actually, I don't drink, but anyway, if I did, I would. But I haven't had time to fix the Atari VCS, and there's a sale right now of all the Atari Recharge games and Pong Quest. Oh, wow. And so I went and bought all the games I didn't have on the VCS because I want to play the Recharge games on the VCS. I bought them on the Switch because I can't get my VCS to work. And they're $4.99 each. Missile Command, Pong Quest, which is fun, Breakout, all the games, Asteroid Centipede Recharge, Black Widow, Gravatar, Yar's Revenge, Caverns of Mars. There's 10 of them in total. And they just came out with Quantum Recharged. And that is a lot of fun. And currently, I'm number 2 in the world. But it's only been out for a day. Yeah. But it's a fun game. It's good. I can't believe how good it is. Actually, I played Quantum quite a bit with the Atari 50th Anniversary Collection, and I was like, this game's kind of, it's all right. But the new one is really cool. So, yeah, those Recharge games are badass, dude. You gotta check them out.
Are they?
Especially Gravatar. Gravatar is amazing, and Quantum's pretty good too. But Yar's Revenge is also tremendous, and Missile Command, which normally I don't like Missile Command, but that's a good one.
I'm still living in the past. I just bought Gravatar for the 2600 the other day. So I'll catch up to you one day.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you see this thing?
What's that?
Did I show you this yet?
Yeah, that thing's awesome.
Yeah, it glows in the console orange. That when I saw that, dude, I wanted all of them.
Yep. And there's Asteroids is on eBay right now for $180.
Jesus God, that's double the price. But these, can you imagine coming up with a contraption where you had all 10 of them lighting up at the same time?
Oh my God.
That would be so cool.
that'd be cool, yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if you could wire that up and find out what pin the lights are hooked to.
I bet you could, but it's Atari.
Scared.
Yeah, I'd be afraid to burn the lights out. But you know, what are you gonna do? All right, man. Great job as always. Thank you so much, and thanks for helping me. And I promise, now that my movie is finished, and I'm gonna start delivering it, and I got to do like closed captions and stuff on it, which is horrible. But anyway, I'm gonna put your Silverback Beats Them All up on the website.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Well, now you got to do what, promotion and stuff too, don't you?
Yeah. What's crazy about doing a movie is you director, you're acting, you're writing, you're creating, then you're in the editing mode, and it's all about sound. Sound drives you crazy. After you're done with sound, and you're done with sound, and you color grade it, now you've got to you take your nerd hat off, you take your creative hat off, your celebrity hat off, you take your nerd hat off, and then you got to be the ringmaster. I got to be like, hey, and I don't have the energy, you know. Like what I want to do is make another movie, but now this movie's really good. It really is. It's really tight and it looks good. And the main girl is a tomato. I'm telling you, she is a cutie. So bada boom, bada bing. We got to get that out there and get people to watch it. So yeah, it's going to be exhausting.
What's the name of that? The new one?
The new one's called Camp Smokey, and it's going to be before Halloween. Right. You're going to be able to get
cool
DVD and Blu-ray, and hopefully they'll be on the streaming services by Halloween.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're always looking for new stuff to watch at Halloween. So,
well, New Year's Eve, you got to watch WJHCAM. It's a movie it's a horror comedy. Really. It's comedy about 75%. We released that last year. It's a New Year's Eve horror movie.
Oh, wow.
About
different.
What if Lord Jesus came back at Y2K and everybody, all the a-holes that were left behind, had to deal with the Denzians of the underworld. So that's kind of what that at a Southern Gospel radio station. So
wow.
Yeah, that's a crazy one. But man, thank you for everything, and I'll talk to you soon, I'm sure.
Yep, it's always a pleasure.
All right, man. Take care.
All right. You too.
Bye.